Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course from New Earth One Network. This is designed exclusively for your higher self connection and embodiment. Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course introduction. Today we are here with the Arcturian Ancestors transmissions with Jean Ang. Hi Jean, welcome.
Hi Lauren. Hi everyone. Yes, really looking forward to this class or pre-class. Seems like it always starts off. This actually becomes the first class, and been wanting to download actually this series of transmissions on the ancestors, and in particular the connection with the Maori or the New Zealand land culture and spiritual being.
It's very interesting, and it takes us back to the early humans on the planet and the culture there. And these are our ancestors. Really intriguing. What's super intriguing is that you made this connection for these transmissions in the dream space. Tell us about that. That's incredible.
Yeah, actually, must be connected to this interconnected link or grid system on the planet because, we'd been discussing and did a number of the master empowerments on stemming from the recent visit to Peru. And I was mentioning that after the physical Peru trip, pretty much for probably 7 to more days, there was every evening I was dreaming about continuing like a tour, like an astral tour in Peru. So it was like there was an inner spiritual initiation tour. But in one of those dreams, I received a type of download that felt like it came from the Peruvian spiritual beings or those people linked to the Andes. But then in the same dream, I received it looked like this massive boulder that wasn't like gyroscoping, but I knew it was actually from this trip that's coming up to New Zealand. So it felt like it came from the ancestors or the spiritual beings associated with New Zealand. But because it occurred in the same dream and the same sequence of the dream unfolding, there seems to be a link between the two. So I've sort of wanted to be able to unpack what that transmission gyroscope was. It usually is symbolic of transmissions or energy and information being transmitted in a very powerful way to, from the spiritual beings. And just as a last link, that dream came right after I had downloaded the information for this upcoming Mount Shasta retreat that's this August, which links Mount Shasta. The theme of that is Mount Shasta's link energetically to Peru. There's ley lines in that. We might have discussed that. So like these 3 power spots, I think, are all interconnected spiritually in the spiritual world as well as the physical world.
Incredible. And it's fascinating because there's many fascinating things here to talk about. One is, if we look at the cultures of these areas in today's world, and even in Tibet, we see the colors. They use very vibrant colors, and the weaving, the way they weave patterns is very similar. The way they even do burials is very similar, like cave burials. And you mentioned the stone. Even here in Costa Rica, there are round stones that nobody knows what they were used for. It's a mystery. And all across the Pacific, giant stones are a mystery. They're believed to be used for money or a money exchange. And you're saying you're getting the information that these are energetic. So that's interesting because the stones themselves are beings and they contain information.
Yeah, exactly. You're reminding me actually as part of that tour in New Zealand is I believe I was going to look it up, pahuku, or they call it the stone medicine, and like what you're saying. And now it didn't hit me right away. It's so obvious, but that this big boulder, how significant it's a stone, and how significant the stone medicine or stones are in all these cultures. Like in the Peruvian tradition, they have the chumpi initiation or chumpi healing with these stones. And then in the New Zealand Maori culture, there's healing with stones. And we're actually like having a process where you're given a healing stone that's very significant, and they are spiritual beings. So,
Yeah, very interesting. And so the link between Peru and Mount Shasta, and even Easter Island, Hawaii, even New Zealand, I can hear many saying that's a Lemurian connection.
oh
What do you
yeah.
have to say about that?
Well, it's so peculiar because right before I head out to New Zealand, I'm going to Hawaii for like a class. It was somewhat planned, but like you said, there's this interconnected link, the Lemurian sort of fire circle that probably goes from, yes, Mount Shasta. Um, there's the Peru link, then Australia, New Zealand. Sorry. I must have either not supposed to say certain things or certain things are trying to come out. But yes, and then also Bali and like we said, New Zealand and this whole area there probably is a even deeper extension because a lot of the kahunas on Hawaii, they see their connection to the Maori tradition and the kahunas there, even like almost like as their teachers, and they definitely go over there to study and exchange healing information with the elders there. So yeah, so I think it's this interconnected link that's just beginning to really open up for myself, and this is a little bit like a reflection of that.
Fascinating. And I think that anyone who looks at the Ring of Fire around the Pacific and all of it can see something happen there. That's not just a coincidence. It's like something's happening there. So beautiful that these transmissions are here to assist us. So there are 6 transmissions, and what are we to do with this? How will this help us?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things is, we discussed this before, was the past life connection to different sacred spots. Of all the different places that we can go to, we tend to go to places seemingly out of interest in this life, but usually there's a karmic link to that place, both in this case, very positive, but like we were talking about, I think in another class, there could be a place that one just non-logically doesn't like to go to. Like there's no reason like in this life. And usually that's because of past life linkages. So I think part of this transmissions, maybe people who might find interest in these, is that they may have had connections in all these different places, multiple lives or multiple connections, Peru, Hawaii, New Zealand, Mount Shasta, North American continent, Lemuria, to go all the way back. And so we're trying to actually reconnect to certain codes that are in the spirit world, but that are linked to these different locations. And so I think part of these transmissions, which is sort of, I feel like, are coming from the spirits there. It happens to be the kind of a New Zealand connection, but as we kind of had kind of unpacked, it's probably greater, like a great link around the planet. One thing is that the transmissions, which are sort of packaged in what I find very almost like general themes, but actually underneath them are like very specific codes that people will receive. And just to start off with, I think one is to receive past life information from these, either past lives in these places or past lives linked to these spiritual beings or spiritual ancestors.
That feels really good. Awesome. So let's go over the various transmissions and then we'll do a little experiment with a frequency. So tell us more.
Yeah. So they're basically broken up into six themes uh, that will occur over 3 days or three transmissions. It's almost like six transmissions. The first one has to do with the peace and also good health. And so this is actually coming from that transmission sphere, or actually the boulder. So it's sort of like codes and information from the ancestors, both from the Maori tradition as well as our own personal ancestors. And so this piece will bring peace of mind to the different subtle bodies. So that would include the physical, etheric, emotional, mental, causal, spiritual, and divine. And then also the good health or balance in these subtle bodies. So also physical, etheric, emotional, mental, causal, spiritual, and the divine level. And then the day two, actually, we're going to be moving on to the balance and harmony, and then also to prosperity and abundance. So in the balance and harmony one, we're trying to bring the kind of 5 elements of nature, or 5 elements in which we're built into balance. And the ancestors are always trying to bring that both in our individual level, as well as the group level, as well as the collective level. And then prosperity and abundance actually comes from the land, comes from the ancestors. So that's usually why there's different offerings that are done to the ancestors, sometimes out of appeasement, but really it's really to bring back a sort of form of generosity. And that kind of karmic act of generosity, which the ancestors can receive, those types of gifts, then kind of feeds back from the land, from the energy, which leads to our physical abundance, as well as the abundance, prosperity on those other levels, like the energetic, emotional, mental, causal, spiritual, and divine, and also a sort of a temporal abundance. So having the time to do things is a form of temporal abundance. So one could be quite lucrative or rich physically in terms of financially, but not have the time, actually, the freedom, maybe because of the certain karmic situations of how that money is generated. So they're always kind of working. So they don't actually have time abundance. So there's a lot of levels of abundance that the ancestors can help, particularly on the time level, giving temporal abundance.
That's really interesting that and now it brings to mind in Asia, when you go even to Bali or Taiwan or Vietnam, all these Asian countries really respect the ancestors and they pay gratitude to the ancestors and they give gifts to the ancestors and they'll leave money, they'll have a shrine and honor the ancestors that way. So that's part of this. Isn't that interesting though, that the ancestors, are they there giving energetic transmissions for abundance and prosperity?
Yes, yes, I believe so. Like if on journeys, on shamanic journeys, and then connecting, they're very connected to the spirits of the land. So if you connect in the easiest one, and we may have discussed it in other classes, is what's called the genie of your place. So wherever your house, wherever you live, it can be even an apartment, there's a guardian of that land who you can make a spiritual connection with. And they're very connected also with the ancestors of that land area. So this could be both where you live as well as where you were born. So where you're born, even if you're not living there, even if it's physically very far away, you still have a very strong connection to that place vibrationally and energetically. And so if you make a connection with that, with those spirits, they can help you in your higher selves unfolding on your spiritual purpose and mission. And part of this is the abundance to be able to carry out those things on all those levels.
All right, very interesting and fascinating. So, if someone, I can hear a question, if someone moves to a different place, how would they cultivate that same energy? Is there a way to do that for the new place that they're in? And then there's even astrology that people can go and learn if they're planning a move to somewhere to see if the energetics fit their astrological chart.
Mhm.
So, is there anything that we can do to bolster? Is it just doing ceremony and creating that link up from wherever we are?
Yeah, maybe I think as part of the experiential piece, we can do like a blessing of the spiritual beings of the land and one's ancestors, and then receive, like you said, the abundance and prosperity energy back from those spirits. And this was a practice that I learned. I learned it actually originally from in pranic healing, and you can do it actually. For a number of different variations to bring prosperity energy into your energetic field by sort of blessing. One version is you bless prosperity spirits. There's actually prosperity angels in areas that are very prosperous, like certain hotels, certain locations. What you're physically seeing as a very abundant and prosperous place is supported by prosperity angels. And if you bless them, they will kind of bless you back with, like you were saying, like a prosperity transmission. And so you can do this with, like you said, if you move to a new place or if wherever a person's living, if they've been living there for a while, as well as the ancestors. And so we'll do that and people can feel that and then use it as a regular daily practice to bring prosperity into their life.
All right, very, very good. Very, very interesting. We are receiving help from the other realms, and being open to receive is an interesting concept because sometimes we might miss it. So before we talk about the day 3 and final transmissions, what do we do to, how would you pay attention to what you're receiving from
Mhm.
blessing these angels and the higher beings?
Yeah, well, there's another prosperity technique that's actually based on that theme. And basically, what you do is, and it can be like a short daily meditation practice, it could just even be 2 or 3 minutes. And what you do is you notice the beauty of things, but even very mundane sort of things. So, like, let's say your table that your computer is on right now, you just notice, like, you just notice it, like, and also the beauty that, oh, like, this is actually here supporting, my computer that allows me to, talk on Zoom. And then you say these two statements, and then you do that for a number of things. You just look around and do that. So it could be like even like something like the dirt, the dust on the table, like it's just very beautiful that that's even in existence. So kind of this innate nature of the world. Then you say these two set or this basic sentence is, you just notice that how abundant you are or rich you are right now. So basically, you put that into a sentence like, isn't it amazing how abundant and prosperous I am? Because you're kind of already acknowledging the fact that you're already in abundance is kind of the upshot of that practice. So you just basically say that, like, oh, you just notice, like, oh, how abundant I am and prosperous I am currently. And you do that as a daily practice, and it sort of opens you up, like you said, makes you more receptive to the abundance energies that are coming in, and that we actually already have.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That feels really good. I know people are practicing that already, and it makes perfect sense. Yes, okay. All right, so then the final transmission, those two are really from the ancestors, from the Maori tradition and our personal ancestors. And this is great because the world needs more loving kindness and global peace.
Yes, this is what's interesting about that dream and the transmission is there were two kind of transmission objects. One came in during that dream sequence from the spirits in the Andes, and it was very refined, like a refined, almost turbine vortex, remembering or recalling how it was, and like about this size that I received. It was like receiving like a long, what I just drawing from my past memories, like as if you were like a receiver and a quarterback threw you a pass like 50 yards down the field and you caught it. It was that sort of feeling like, oh, I caught this thing. Like somehow I was able to like almost like capture it. And that is sort of unpacking in this Peru Mount Shasta retreat. That's somewhat the preview. We'll have this mastery empowerment class like right before I go to Mount Shasta. In fact, I think one of the last days will actually possibly could be at Mount Shasta for this. So there's that connection. But then the transmission sphere or this boulder that was gyroscope was much more powerful but raw, that came from the New Zealand, I guess the only label I could say is the New Zealand higher beings or ancestors. It was maybe like 20 times bigger. It was something that like in the dream, someone had to use one of these big crane type machines she was in. She's actually going to be on the tour. That's how I know it was part from the New Zealand. And she had to like drive this thing, and that big crane structure held that transmission boulder. So what it kind of leads is that these frequencies are possibly even more ancient than the ones that I received from the Peruvian ones, because that seemed much more refined. These seemed even more raw and larger, but kind of almost unwieldy. Like in the dream, symbolically, it had to use some kind of big, mechanical instrument to handle them. So these transmissions that are coming is like I would say an initial unpacking of that. And that's why I think this last day is actually going back to like, what is the fabric of the universe? Like, where were the parts of the planet where we first incarnated? Like Lemuria was prior to um, uh, Atlantis by thousands of years. And then even prior to that, before humans took on a physical incarnation where the planet was probably not inhabitable physically, there were probably etheric bodies that we could inhabit. So even back to that ancient type. And so this transmission, is sort of couched as loving kindness, but it's really going back to what was the fabric of our universe, the fabric of which this planet was built on, which does have that love, bliss vibration, and from which kind of the ancestors emerged from which we're kind of in our modern world, we still are connected to, but maybe it's sort of somewhat lost, or we reconnect to it when we maybe go out to nature and so forth. So that's really what this last transmission is. And then it's also moving forward in terms of, now we're in a global, I don't know if crisis is the right word, but we definitely have our challenges. We always do, we always have. But now, because of our accelerated modern life, we're much more in communication with each other. We're almost like one planet or one country in many respects energetically, even though we still have demarcations. But anything that happens in one part of the area now, whether it physically affects people, because of the internet, we almost immediately know about it. So at least information-wise, we're all connected, almost like in a way that in the speed that we've never been before. So this transmission is also about how the ancestors are bringing energetic information as part of that solution. And these ancestors, again, can be our own ancestors spiritually or physically through bloodlines, as well as, you know, the higher beings that are being kind of held by the ancestors in the Maori or the New Zealand energetic cluster.
Very fascinating. And it brings to mind, I'll share a quick dream that I had as well, like this interconnectedness and global situation and awareness. Since we're talking about dreams, it was so vivid, this dream. We were on a bus, there's that vehicle going somewhere, and it was so obvious that there's this need to pay attention to our environment and to come up with some solution somewhere. And there was nothing being said, but we were sitting on this bus and we were just looking around at each other like, no duh. So I share that just because that dream space has information, and in a way, it's actually kicking me into gear in a certain way. And so this dream space, like for you, gives you this information. And you know, we've done a lot with dreams, and even the last mastery empowerment class that we did really did talk about the higher realms that are here to assist us. So I just wanted to share that about dreams, because the dream space, when we do these transmissions, is always seems a little bit more active because there is information coming through. And so we have to pay attention to that space. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like how you had the bus. And I've had also initiation dreams where we're on a bus. That seems to be the modern the modern like vehicle, because we maybe have that school idea, you know, this initiations now being kind of like a learning.
A
Mhm.
learning. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Very interesting. Well, let's do an experiential with you now. That would be perfect.
Okay, yeah. So we're going to bless the spirits of our land. You can either think of it as one guardian spirit or all the kind of spirit guardians in your land area, as well as the ancestors, your ancestors. We'll keep it to that, who you feel connected to. And we're going to bless them with gold energy from our heart and from our crown. And then we're then going to receive their prosperity energy back. So I'll just go through the process and then I'll guide it. So what you do is you put your hands out like in this blessing position like this, and then you just imagine like gold rays or gold energy beams coming out of your hands. So it's like the blessing position. Then you're first going to focus on your heart chakra and imagine that gold ray coming out of your hands. And then just imagine in front of you, like is the spirits of your land and your ancestors. And so you're showering them with gold light, gold prana, gold energy from your heart. So you focus on your heart, you just let that gold come out. And then I'll say focus on your crown. And then you continue to imagine the gold light come out of your hands, but you're focusing now on your crown chakra. So it's like you're receiving crown chakra kind of energy, and it comes out of your hands. And then the third portion is you focus on your crown and your heart simultaneously as you continue to shower your ancestors and the spirits of the land with gold energy. And if you can't visualize that, you can just say those things or just feel that, you know, that's happening. Okay, then after like a minute or two, you just put your hands down, like in the receiving, like what Lauren was mentioning, like as soon as we're open to receiving, the abundance is already present. That was kind of that exercise and noticing the wealth that we already have, that daily kind of meditation practice. But here you just put your hands faced up. And then now you just make the intention that you're receiving the prosperity and abundance energy from both the spirits of the land, or the guardian of the land, as well as your ancestors. Okay. Well, I'm sure people probably already did it in the quantum version, in that explanation, but we'll go through a little slowly here, in the maybe like within 5 minutes, but so people can do it in a more unpacked version. Okay. So if you like, you can put the tongue on the roof of your mouth, and that connects your front and back energy channels. Just makes you a bigger energy field or expands your energy field. We'll just say a short invocation. You can just thank the divine, God, source, or love, divine feminine, divine masculine. You can invite all your guides and ancestors and the spirits of your land, your holy guardian angel, and your higher self. And then just put your hands in the blessing position, focusing on your heart. And just imagine gold rays or gold light coming out of your hands. And you're blessing the spirits of your land. And it doesn't matter if you can see them clearly, just make that intention that that's where the gold light is going, as well as your ancestors. And you can just think of, there's no one specific. There's probably many who have been supporting us without us really even knowing about them consciously. So you can just say whichever ancestors need this energy or have been helping you, either consciously or unconsciously, because they're always looking out for you, for your best interests. You're just focused on your heart and the gold energy coming out. And if you're doing this on your own, or if you get the hang of this and like it, you can always spend longer. Just for the sake of the time, we're going to move on. And now you focus on your crown center, top of your head. Just continue to imagine the gold light coming out of your hands. Maybe it's becoming more clear what the spirits of the land look like, the land that your house or where you live is located. You can even include where you were born. That always has a special energetic connection to you, as well as your ancestors. So you're focused on the crown, and the gold light is coming out of your hands. And now we're doing the alchemy of both chakras. You focus both on your crown and heart, and imagine the gold light coming out of your hands as you simultaneously focus on the crown chakra and heart chakra. You may even notice a different kind of gold is coming out of your hands. Again, blessing the ancestors and spirits of the land. Okay, you could always go longer if you like. That's good for now. Then you put your hands in the receptive position on your lap, face up. And now you're receiving the prosperity and abundance energies from the spirits of the land and your ancestors. Just be open, just be receptive. If you're sensitive or you sense energy, you may feel or see or even hear tones coming into your field. You may feel happy or joyous or something very unique or positive about this transmission. Even insights may come to you as a form of abundance. You can always stay here longer and receive the energy of abundance and prosperity from the ancestors and spirits of the land. We're just going to thank them now for this great, great blessing, for their always continual support, even if we don't know consciously who they are. They've been helping us all this time, looking after us in ways we may not have even noticed or known, but that were significant. And they've been supporting us just by having this physical body. We know we've been supported by the spirits of the land and our ancestors who must have come together in order for us to have this physical body. So we're thankful for that very obvious gift and much more. We'll just thank the divine and all the guides that you asked to come, the spirits of the land and our ancestors, our higher self and our holy guardian angel. We thank you. When you feel comfortable, you can open your eyes, snap your fingers.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. What a beautiful gift, and what a beautiful way to move on the planet, honoring the ancestors of the land and the place where we're born, all of it. Really, really beneficial for all of us. And so that's a beautiful taste of what more is to come. Feeling very peaceful and blissful there at the same time. And my hands could actually feel the energy. Yes, awesome. Really great.
That's great. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it really is beautiful. And if all we do is move this way on the planet, we're doing tremendous work for everything, not only for our lives, but for the lives of those around us. And so we're grateful for that. And we're looking forward to 3 sessions with you. I want to say that these sessions in the group energy is exhilarating and very comforting. It feels like home because we see each other on Zoom for those who like to share their screen, and we can feel the connection with other people in this group. So we invite those to join us and share in it as well. It really is fascinating and beautiful. And we always give a bonus set of transmissions as well with the purchase of this transmission. And I'm thinking of the good luck transmissions. What do you think?
Oh yeah, we could include good luck, and then maybe also if we wanted, we could. There's the power. I think it was called power spots. Yeah, something like of this nature. I think last year we did one on the grid and like power locations, something of this nature. I'll look it up again, but that might be a good one because we are kind of like in this Lemurian grid structure. Of course, it could expand beyond Lemuria, but Shasta, Peru, New Zealand, that we mentioned, and much more.
All right. All right. So everyone, please check out this webpage for the details on that bonus that's included. It will be listed right here. And we're looking forward to seeing everyone in this group. Again, the energy builds over the 3 days. It's an energetic container and it feels wonderful. Everyone is reports just incredible things that go on with their own energy. And when you hear how other people receive the information, it helps in our own integration of the information, the unpacking of the information as well. So it's beautiful. Jean, do you want to say anything else about the 3 days together and these transmissions?
Yeah. So I will be in Mount Shasta on that 3rd day. So there's kind of be that physical link because I think it is integrated in all this unpacking that we mentioned, kind of how this is coming from the spirit world through the dream space. So I think our dream space and also just direct visual or visions may be quite rich, and people might already start connecting in that way even now. And then also that prosperity practice, if sometimes people are really focused on that aspect of their life, you could keep it that short, like you have the gist of it, you can just do it on your own, or even extend it if you wanted to kind of have more energy. But I would do it for 21 days. Do it if you're really focused on prosperity at the time, to bring more abundance into your life or your family or environment or business life, because it will build, the energy will build. So it can become like an intensive practice for a short amount of time. So 21 days is a good number if that's something people are working on.
Awesome. And as we know in this quantum way, this is being recorded on 88
Oh
Lionsgate, and
yeah.
that's a powerful support system for these dreams and manifestation wishes that we wish to bring forward. So, really remarkable. Let's take this entire month and practice that prosperity practice.
Oh
See
yeah.
what happens. All right, cool. Gene,
Cool.
we're excited for this. We
Oh
are.
yeah.
All right. And is there anything else like you'd like to share as we say goodbye?
Oh no, I just wanted to thank everyone, thank Loren, and this is actually a mount. I usually have Mount Shasta in the background. This is a Mount Taranaki. I thought it would be appropriate. This is a Mount in New Zealand, so I'm sure the mountains will be supporting us, and we'll of course have Mount Shasta there for the last day directly. But you can connect to these places, of course, astrally. So if you have a certain mountain, they usually are connected with the ancestors. They are ancestors of the land themselves. So if there's a particular mountain you connect with, you can maybe do that from here, from when you hear this to we do the live event, and maybe you'll have some stories to share from the dream space or just your energetic experiences.
Oh, perfect. Before we go, I want to share another energetic experience.
Oh
In
yeah.
our last Mastery Empowerment course, someone reported seeing very interesting illumined ball, an orb,
Mm.
and someone that I know right here in my neighborhood saw the exact same thing down from, it was in a different country, but in that line of where this person was. I think it was Colorado.
Oh
And
wow.
it was the same night, and it came out of a mountain, and it was an orb, and it just went,
Mm.
psh. Isn't that fascinating? We don't know if it's related, but very interesting that someone in our group reported it. And then the very next day, I heard someone mention the exact same thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's probably very related, and things come in and out of the astral aspects of mountains. Yeah.
Okay. Well, these are just some of the ways that our discussion can go when we gather in a group and talk with everyone. So again, we invite everyone to join us. It is recorded if you can't join us live, and you'll get the energy transmissions extracted out of the recording so that you can listen to again at any time. All right, beautiful. We're excited for this, and we're excited to see everyone again. Thank you, Jean.
Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, everyone.
Namaste.
Namaste.